So the 5,000 meter distance now comes fast and furiously as we try to keep things on track for you. About an hour's left in this race. Emily Brown wearing hip number 1. This 5,000 lacks a little bit of the firepower and star power we saw in the 3,000 meters, so we'll see how this race unfolds. 15 women scheduled to race the 5,000 meter distance. Olivia Fee of UCLA is in second, just ahead of Saga Hagelin of Weber State. But already now some separation with the top 3. And the remainder of the field now in single file. As they will come to the finish line. And we'll get off for the next 15 laps of this 5,000 meters. Men will follow, and then some 4x4 heats to end the night. A reminder, we're back here tomorrow with the coverage of Miles City beginning at about 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern. And those races available for you both on Runner Space Plus and Big Ten Plus. Dan, for a guy who always, well, I guess you looked forward to it because you knew it was going to mark the end of a 2-day grind, but 1,500 meters and the distance races for you, how do you qualify your fandom of the distances given that you didn't run them?
You know, I said this, I don't know, it was quite some time ago, but I was the kind of guy who obviously didn't, 1,500 meters wasn't my best event, but I had to find a love for it. And in finding a love for it, I followed Oregon track and field. I fell in love with Steve Prefontaine and the exploits of him and Alberto Salazar and guys like that who went to the University of Oregon and came from, or guys who came from the state. But I really fell in love. I'll never forget, just tears streaming down my cheeks when, I'm in the London Stadium in 2012, and Mo Farah and Galen Rupp are battling it out, both in the 5 and the 10,000 meters. And it's like, okay, I got a love for these distance runners, and certainly a lot of respect. I think a lot of regular people don't understand how hard distance running is and what incredible athletes these guys are. They're not giant people, and so they can run a little bit faster than all of us because they weigh a little bit less. But to go out and run a 60-second, lap after lap after lap and run a 4-minute mile is super, super special. And then on the women's side as well, with the stuff they're able to do, I'm a big fan. I got just mad respect for distance runners.
That Mo Farah 10,000, part of that amazing night of athletics for Team GB in the stadium, with Greg Rutherford winning the long jump competition, and also with Jessica Ennis, I think, wrapping up the heptathlon championship as well.
That was a fun Olympics, and I still have the video of this day. Day 1, morning session of the track and field portion of the 2012 Olympics. The Jessica Ennis introduction before the 100-meter hurdles in the heptathlon. There was not an empty seat in the house to start day 1 morning session. I could not believe it. There were no seats, no tickets on any of the nights of track and field. Just, they love track and field there in London.
So clicking through the laps of this 5,000 meters, the last distance race of the day for the women. The men to race the same distance here coming up, followed by those 4x400 meter relays. And Saga Hagelin of Weber State has built a sizable advantage to this race with 11 laps to go. And now you're just trying to find a zone and just stay on your pace, as most of the field now well back of her. She's running a very confident early part of this 5,000 meters. That is Emily Brown in second, and then Olivia Foodie of UCLA in third, as we see that group of women really separating from the front of the pack down to the last runners coming down the backstretch as Hagelin comes into view of the home straight. And another lap removed. The last time she'll see double digits. 10 laps to go. A little over 3K.
And that right there is why I respect distance runners. I just, to come around the turn, come down the home straight and see 25 laps to go, or to see 15 laps to go, or 10 laps to go, it's like, okay, that's not an easy thing for people to understand. It's like, okay, not only am I running that far, I'm racing that far.
Audrey Kazier of Weber State leading that next group that we captured coming down to the end of the backstretch, but now her teammate reaching the line. So a good half lap or so on the rest of the field. A few folks closer than that as Hagelin clicks off another lap, and 9 laps to go.
So Paul, Keenan Gray will join us tomorrow, or join you for some of the elite mile races, but he's also joining you at the Millrose Games. What's his role going to be there?
I think his role and responsibility is mixed zone coverage for Dystat, and making sure we hear from all those athletes, not only the ones that are obviously in those big races during the NBC TV window, but there's some really great races before that window. We were having our early production meeting this week and sort of lamenting that there were a few races that weren't going to make the window. It's such a distance-heavy event with the Wanamakers in particular, and then that 2 mile for the men, that there's not a lot of time in 2 hours. Well, Hagelin still leads. You know, Emily Brown has not necessarily gained nor lost space in this race, so she's just kind of biding her time to see if maybe the leader comes back to her just a little bit as we try to reset the order in this field behind leader Hagelin. Olivia Foodie is still there. Kazier of Weber State. As 7 laps remain.
So, Paul, I'm trying to think, what will the distance? Will they run 3K or 5K at the Mount Pacific meet? I believe it's 5K, right?
I don't know for sure, Dan.
I don't think they do both. I just was looking at the SEC championships, and they're going to run the 5K at the SEC meet, but I didn't know that Didn't know if they ran the NCAA, whether they ran the 3K or the 5K. But I think men and women now are running the same event. It used to be 3K for the women, 5K for the men. But now they run the same event.
So 6 laps to go for Hagelin. And she's been really kind of alone with her thoughts here for the better part of this race. Out to an early advantage. Broke away from Emily Brown. Now benefiting by having teammate Lydia Felix in front of her. Gives her somebody to kind of focus on rather than worry about what's behind you. And there now is Emily Brown. And I think this lead has grown in the last lap or so. So Hagelin now is going to come alongside teammate Lydia Felix. And so she has 5 laps to go. She and Brown came into the race with the 2 fastest seed times. Madeline Ibergen was scheduled originally to run this distance. She elected to go down and run the 3,000 meters and was the only one who'd come into the early entry list with a sub 16-minute performance to their credit at 5,000 meters. Hagelin is kind of out for a Friday night run, Dan.
Well, and you talk to distance runners, and they assure you that these are not just casual runs. But Saga Hagelin, her 16:13 seed time is definitely it's not just a seed time; it's her PR from earlier this season. She's had a couple of real good runs. I dig this. She's mostly a steeplechaser that has moved up here in this indoor season, but she's had a pretty solid indoor season so far. Ran a mile in 4:52, 3K. 9:38, and then she's gone 16:13:23 for a PR in the 5,000 meters. So putting in some really good work here before she gets to her conference championships.
One thing I did note, Dan, we'll keep an eye on it, is I think the lap counter was showing 6 laps to go when she came to the line instead of it being 4. So let's hope that they've rectified that as they come into the main straightaway, as she is closing in on another runner at the back of the pack, and again, giving her somebody to key in on. And she will now pass that athlete and come to the line. And yes, they are back now, correctly showing 3 laps to go. We've been involved in a few races where that lap counter has come back to bite an athlete, especially when they're running all by themselves. That is Marina Lipari, who just got passed by the leader Hagelin, so she's a lap down in this race. No sign of Emily Brown as we go back, and it doesn't look like Emily Brown is now in second, but hard to say with some of the athletes. We are hearing reports that maybe she stepped off the track, so that'll be confirmed here in just a couple of laps. Hagelin now with 2 trips around the Dempsey Oval between her and a 5,000-meter victory. Lap and a half to go. You do get some benefit of some friendly faces and friendly voices in your ear with the ability for the coaches to be out on the track, your teammates on the infield with a great proximity to urge you on. And here she comes into the final stretch here. See if she can pick up the pace here. She's been running about a minute a lap around the track, and can start to see that head bob just a little bit as she now reaches the bell and trying to close out this win at 5,000 meters. Half lap to go in this solo effort. No one having the ability to react to the effort today by Saga Hagelin of Weber State. She comes into the home stretch and is going to finish off the win here in impressive fashion on this Friday night at the Dempsey Indoor in Washington as she reaches the end of a 5,000-meter distance and takes the victory in 16:12:26. And she may very well catch her breath before the next runner comes across the line. That was an impressive day at the track. As we wait for our second finisher, and we finally do see a second athlete across the line. That was teammate Haley Day of Weber State. 16:39, Angelina Leone of Pacific and Olivia Foodie of UCLA. Nice battle for third and fourth. But 27 seconds, the winning margin for Hagelin of Weber State at the Dempsey.
A PR by 1 second, 16:13:23 coming in, 16:12:26 today.
Watch the replay of Hagelin coming in, and she gets to the most important job, refuel.